Our first reading is from Jonah 1:1-16. It's on page 859. New Bible. Jonah tries to run away from God. Now that the word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, "Go at once to Nineveh, the great city, and cry out against it, for the wickedness is come up before you." But Jonah set out to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid his fare and went on board to go with them to Tarshish, away from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord hurled a great wind upon the sea, and such a mighty storm came upon the sea that the ship threatened to break up. Then the mariners were afraid, and each cried to his God. They threw the cargo that was in the ship into the sea to lighten it for them. Jonah meanwhile had gone down into the hold of the ship and had laid down and went fast asleep. The ship came and said to him, "What are you doing, sound asleep? Get up, call on your God. Perhaps the God will spare us a thought so that we do not perish." The sailors said to one another, "Come, let us cast lots, so that we may know on whose account this calamity has come upon us." So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. Then they said to him, "Tell us why this calamity has come upon us. What is your occupation? Where do you come from? What is your country? And of what people are you?" "I am Hebrew," he replied. "I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." Then the men were even more afraid and said to him, "What is this that you have done?" For the men knew that he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them so. Then they said to him, "What shall we do to you, that the sea may quiet down for us?" For the sea was growing more and more tempestuous. He said to them, "Pick up." He said to them, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will quiet down for you. For I know it is because of me that this great storm has come upon you." Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to bring the ship back to land, but they could not, for the sea grew more and more stormy against them. Then they cried out to the Lord, "Please, O Lord, we pray, do not let us perish on account of this man's life. Do not make us guilty of innocent blood, for you, Lord, O Lord, have done as it pleased you." So they picked Jonah up and threw him into the sea, and the sea ceased from its raging. Then the men feared that the Lord even more, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows. But the Lord provided a large fish to swallow up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights.
Our second scripture reading this morning comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, verses 1 through 3, and then verses 11 to 32. You can find them on page 78 of your pew Bibles in the New Testament. Now all the tax collectors and the sinners were coming near to listen to him. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling, saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all that he had and traveled to a distant country. And there he squandered his property in dissolute living. Then when he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout the country, and he began to be in need. So he went went and he hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country. So he went to the fields to feed the pigs. He would have gladly filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against you and against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. And he ran and he put his arms around him and he kissed him. And then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against you, against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him, and ring and put it on his finger, and sandals on his feet, and get a fatted calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is now found.' They began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field. And when he came and approached the house, he heard the music and dancing. And he called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. And he replied, 'Your brother has come. Your father has killed the fatted calf because he got him back safe and sound.' And he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. And he answered his father, 'Listen, for all these years I have worked like a slave for you. I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that we might celebrate with my friends. But when the son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you kill a fatted calf for him?' And the father said, 'Son, you are always with me. All that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found.'" This is the word of the Lord. Would you pray with me? Holy One, be with the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts, in order that they be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. Help us to place ourselves in this story, no matter where or who we relate to, that we would be able to see your compassion and embody it. Bless us, O God, for you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. I want to start off by talking about Jonah. I really love the Jonah story. I think it's one of the cooler stories in the Bible. Also, I can kind of relate. I don't know if you guys know that when I was denying my call to go to seminary, my friends at camp sat me down and said, "If you don't go to seminary, we're all going to get swallowed by a whale." So I have a fondness for this story. But I want to talk about what's happening really quickly. So God tells Jonah to go to Nineveh. It's a bad city. Like bad. This is one of those, like, you hear the city of Nineveh, dun, dun, dun. got a bad reputation. It's not a good place. And God tells Jonah to go tell them that they've sinned against God. Now, I can relate to Jonah in this. He's probably thinking if he shows up in Nineveh and says anything, he will probably get mugged and beaten to death. Yeah? Okay. Not a good ask from God on Jonah's part. It's a scary ask. So what he does is goes and gets on a boat that's going the opposite direction from Nineveh. Okay? Tarshish is on the other side, opposite Nineveh. He's going the wrong way. Now, my beloved husband, one time when I heard him preach on this particular text, said something that has always stuck with me. He said there was probably good ministry to be done in Tarshish. You know, that's a valid point. There probably was good work, good godly work, for Jonah to do in Tarshish. But it's not what he was asked to do. Sometimes the good thing is not the right thing. Do you see that? Just because there was good ministry doesn't mean it was the right ministry that he was asked to do. So then you know the story. They're on the boat, they're headed to Tarshish. Jonah somehow is sleeping through this storm in the belly of the ship, if you will. And the people who own the boat are trying to figure out what's happening. The storm is coming. They know it's a big enough storm. Somebody has made somebody's God mad. Okay? That is the automatic answer. Somebody has upset the Lord, their Lord. Now, who is it? So they're trying to figure out who it is. They cast lots and it lands on Jonah. No surprise there. Because we know that Jonah is the reason for the storm. These guys are trying really hard to help Jonah out. Jonah says, throw me overboard, it'll stop. And the guys are like, no, we got this. So they plead to the Lord and they throw more things overboard to try to lighten the load, and they're rowing and rowing and rowing and trying to get back to land. Finally realizing they can't, they throw Jonah overboard. It stops. And it says that they made vows and commitment to the Lord. If you were on that boat and Jonah told you that it was his God that was doing the sea, and as soon as you throw him in, would you convert? Yeah. This is one of my favorite conversion stories, actually, in the Bible. We never hear about these guys again, but these poor dudes on the boat with Jonah. Okay. And then the rest of that story. But I want you to take that image of sometimes we go out with the intention of doing the wrong thing. In this story, Jonah leaves with the intention of going against God's ask. Now, the prodigal son goes out, I don't think with the intention of ending up starving. Probably going to go enjoy himself? Yes. Ending up desolate? I don't think so. You're familiar with the prodigal son story? You've heard this. It's like popular culture. We know it pretty well. Now, the three characters in the prodigal son story, really, are the son, the dad, and the brother. Out of curiosity, is there one of these you relate to? You don't? Yeah? Yeah. I would say being in this building, you are more likely to relate to the father or the older brother than the prodigal. Okay? Not that we haven't been prodigals at times, but generally, people who have been in the church or raised in the church especially relate to the older brother. I know I always have. So, as we think about this story, so the younger brother goes, takes half of what's his, says, give me what's mine, takes it, goes off, parties it up. Then comes a famine. So an unforeseen event. It's actually not entirely his fault that he has nothing. Do you see that? There's a combination of squandering your stuff and world event that makes him desolate. Now, when he decides to come back, it is no surprise that the father has believed that he is dead. Do you see that? This is not a metaphor. Once he was once dead and now he's alive. Dad knows that he spent all of it, probably spent most of his money, and that a famine came. People don't live through famines. Right? Then he comes back and he sees him from far off and he runs to him and he celebrates because he's alive again. Quite literally alive again. Not metaphorically. Lost and found. Because I can promise you, Dad and older brother did not expect him to ever come back. The pride alone involved with, hey Dad, I want all the time now. It takes some ego to say, give me, I know you're not dead yet. This feels like when your grandparents were like, go put stickies on the things that you want so I can write it in my will. Okay? This is like that to the 1200th degree. You know? Give me my stuff so that I can take off. So when he comes back, the father, who sees him from far off. Now, that could be a couple of reasons. He could see him from far off by, he's got a big property, somebody's coming down the road, what's going on? Or he could have been keeping watch for him. Like a parent who never loses hope. You know that? He could have been. It's an option. Either way, he sees him, he runs to him, he wraps his arms around him, he's like, hey, you're back! This is great! Meanwhile, older son is working, doing what's good, not necessarily right. Okay? Older son is working all day, it's hot outside, comes in, and there's a party going on. Well, what's going on with this party? So they tell him his brother's back. Now, sibling rivalries run deep. Do they not? Your brother takes off with all the stuff. You've been working, and he comes back, and they're throwing a party for him. Yeah? I like my brother most of the time. He'd be a dead man. You know? And I would be mad at everybody who was involved, including the dad. So I totally get this. I totally get this older brother having a conniption. And he's refusing to go in. You see this? I can also see this. This is me. Sitting outside, pouting. Yep. Actually, a long time ago, when we studied this parable, took a parable class with a friend. If you've ever heard me make jokes about playing Uno outside the gates of heaven, it comes from this. Because my friend and I jokingly say we are kind of those kids that we expect to be pouting outside the gates of heaven while the party's going on because somebody we don't like is inside. So we're going to sit outside the gate and pout and play Uno until Jesus comes out and defends himself. Can you relate to this content? Yeah. So this is the Uno playing kid. And what's interesting is that I can relate there, but some of you can relate to the dad figure. Sometimes you are so grateful that somebody has returned to your life. Maybe they've come back from alcoholism. Maybe they've been sick and weren't supposed to live through a diagnosis. And you are so excited that they are in your life and alive that you just shower them with all the good things you can possibly shower them with. Now, I certainly believe that God is most likely the figure in this story. But my hope is that in many ways this church can be the father in this story. So I was trying to think of a modern day example about this event, this kind of parable. And the thing that kept coming to me was the conversations we had around human trafficking. Okay? For those of you that were at that event, one of the things that was shared with us is that women who have been trafficked are convinced that they can't return home. That's part of what the pimps do, is help convince them that there's no way they could come home because of the things they've done. But you can sure bet that if, I know at least some of us, if someone returned from having been trafficked, we would be very excited. But there would probably be a few that were not excited about that. Yay, good, she's back. But now she's addicted to drugs and there's all these other problems and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's fine that she's out of trafficking, but now it's time for her to get a real job. We do this in society, yeah? Have you seen the thing, the poster that says, like, why is my insulin so much and narco for heroin addicts and it's crossed out the other part. It's like, the real question is just why is my insulin so much? Not the issue with the drug addicts are separate things. Don't make it it's not combined. You seen that? Same thing is happening here. These women are home, but we convolute it and in some ways encourage them to go back. Because it's just as tumultuous to be with us in some ways because of the shame. Can you imagine, this first brother in the story has got to have some shame. Yes? Do you think second brother is going to not let him know about that shame? Or remind him of it when dad's not around? He sure is. So part of the goal as a church is to work on ways in which we can be the dad and not punish people for coming back or for making a good and right choice. Do you see what I mean? Sometimes we punish others for the right choice. So as you think about this week, I want you to think about specifics in your life. Where can we be more running out down the road, keeping watch for joy? Because I know that many times I know this, I've told you that the idea I have of you going into the throne room of God. Remember this? And that we are presented before God and God says, perfect. But it's not going to happen like that. We're not going to make it to the throne room. God is going to come running out of the gates and scoop you up before you even have a chance to say, Father, I sinned against you. And he's like, shut up. Let's have a party. Amen?